All right, so I'm going to open up Loopback's documentation here and zoom in a bit. And if we look on the left-hand side, there should be a section regarding working with data. And you can select creating, updating, and deleting data. Now, this should provide any information that you need. Anything that I don't cover in this video, feel free to come to the documentation, and if you still can't figure it out, let me know. I'll do my best to help you out. So with using the persisted model as a subclass for all the models that we create, we have methods like create, upsert, find or create, and save, update all. These are all methods on the model itself and instances of the model. So let's play around with create. But first we're going to have to actually learn how to use find. So it's right here. This is this is going to be the format of all functions related to the interface for interacting with data. So there's going to be an object and then a callback. Callback is, I believe, always going to receive an error or a result. So in our server script here, what we're going to want to do is where we're storing the data inside memory, so nothing's actually being persisted, we're not going to want to manually fire off a post request every time we want to create a user. So we're going to make it here. We're going to, every time we start the app, we're going to attempt to find users. If there are no users, then we're going to automatically create one. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say app.models.user.find, and now we're going to open up new brackets here because we're going to capture the callback's error or result, and then we're going to put it over into its own function. Now, two things can happen here. There could be an error and result could be none. So result, where we're using find, this equates to basically find many or find all. So the result should be a list. Now, if the list's length is 0, we can be sure, okay, there's no users. So we're going to put this into an if statement. So if result.length equals 0, then we're going to create a user. So let's go ahead and create const user, and this is going to be the object of the user we want to create. So the email is going to be nick@nick.com. I should be using single quotes for this. It's telling me I should. So let's start trying to do that. There we go. And there's other small things, like they want you to put spaces between the if keyword and then like this. And I don't know, that looks weird to me. So, all right, password we're going to set to test. Username we're going to set to Nick, and that should be fine. So let's close that. We should add a trailing comma here. And this is all syntax stuff. I'm not really going to worry too much about that. As long as you guys can read it, that is the most important thing. If you are working on a production app, it's probably a good idea to follow either the existing conventions that the application has already laid out, or really pay attention to these red underlines here that you'll see throughout this app. So now with the user object instantiated, it's just a regular JavaScript object at this point. So what I want to do is I want to call app.models.user, and now we're going to call a method here on the user model, and the method is going to be create. And now the first thing that we need to do is pass the user object as the item that we're going to create, and then we're going to either get an error or a result as a callback. So for right now, let's just console log tried to create user, and let's print out error and result and save. Now every time we boot the application, it's going to attempt to find a user. If there's none, then it's going to create one in this block of code right here. So I'm going to go ahead and npm start. I wonder if I can zoom in the terminal. No, I can't. All right. So it says tried to create user, null for error, and the result is this right here. We can see that where we're creating a user object, it's going to take our password and it's going to hash it. It's also going to apply an ID. So if you need to do anything with the object after it's created, you will have an ID to be able to access it. So now let's jump back over here and let's attempt to log in. Oh, it's already filled in there. So let's log in and we get a token. So let's copy this and paste it up here. We should also see, if I refresh, actually, that custom access token is now a thing. So if I drop this down and click try it out to get, it's never going to return. Interesting. Did our profile get created when our user did? Interesting. This whole thing is not... Let me inspect here and go in console. All right, let's refresh. Okay, let's stop this actually, and then refresh. It's running, but it doesn't... all right. I doubt this would have anything to do with it. But, yeah, okay. I'm going to stop the server. Then we're going to start. And then, so it started here. Let's refresh. Close this. Go into user, and we're going to log in. Email nick@nick.com because our account gets automatically created now, which is neat. And our password is test. Let's go try it out. Now let's copy the ID into here and set the access token. Now let's check to make sure that our profile got created. And it didn't, so we'll come back to that later. Let's look at access tokens, get, and try it out. And it says authorization required.